Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 145. I think it's 145. My name is Evan Lewis. What?
I said that sounds right.
Oh, okay, good.
Probably.
That's Leo Andre.
He's keeping track.
Hi. I figured I should actually say hi. I waved and realized that, the majority of our viewers are not watching the video, they're listening to the audio, so.
And Joe Latovsky.
Hello.
And Kurt Larson.
Hello.
I thought earlier today about doing it like SNL, like featuring Leo Andre and Joe Latovsky, guest starring tonight's musical guest Creed,
Favorite Dan and the modal nodes,
and special guest star Dan Aykroyd.
What if we could do it like 60 minutes, where we're all like, I'm Evan Lewis. I'm
always safer. Who's gonna be Andy Rooney? We'll get Christian to come on and be Andy Rooney. And of course, we are joined by our wonderful patrons who are with us live in Discord chat. If you would like to find out how you too can join us in Discord chat and bring your thoughts to bear on every episode as they happen, go on over to patreon.com/thejodocast so you can see everything our patrons do for us and everything we do to say thank you to them. Or go over to jodocast.com where you can find all of our newest content and our social media links, including Discord. And with that, I would ask what we've been playing, but as young Neil once said, that's a really big question, because it's been a lot for reasons. Although I feel like we do owe Kurt and Leo a smidgen of time. So, what have you two been up to?
Played some Legion. Got started another Legion League. We're trying out that Forces of Destiny or whatever it was called that they did for Mini Stravaganza. We're using that rule set with our Legion League this time. I'll say that the light side's force heal is total bullshit. B game. I spend 3 rounds of the game getting Anakin down to 1 hit point, and then Obi-Wan walks up to him and heals him back up to full. That sucked.
He never did that in the movies. What?
It should at least be like Rise of Skywalker, where you take the damage, right? Wasn't that what happened with the snake? That would be more accurate to the canon. At least.
It's like a transfer of life force.
Yeah, equivalent exchange.
And
a soul for a soul.
I've been experiencing other Decipher games. I played some Star Trek CCG the other night.
That's an interesting way to phrase it. I've been experiencing other. Sounds like you're trying to make it not sound like you're cheating on Star Wars.
He's reliving his college days. He's experimenting with other card games.
Star Wars CCG have an understanding. We have an open relationship.
He's just keeping it in the family.
You know what I realized? So I got new monitors now. I've got 27 inches, I think they are. And so it's changed the angle that my webcam sits at that's on top of the monitor. So now you can know. So now the top of my tower now goes beyond the picture.
I was gonna
in
say,
our videos.
Outgrown the frame, but it's just your camera's at a different angle.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you should
see. It would be taller if I actually put the Shadow Collective stuff in the tower, but that's actually started a whole nother stack because I'm not confident in it not tipping over if I add to it any more than it is right now.
Local man dies after large tower of unopened Legion expansions fell on him.
How about you, Kurt?
I have not played anything recently.
Good for you.
Oh,
I've
I did
been-
also play that one, a few levels of Rebel Assault just to show
yeah.
Joe up.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's
You
more
had
than
better
me, then.
equipment. When we played Rebel Assault, we said, "Oh, it'll probably be easier if we had like a legit flight stick." So
I know.
I'm blaming you.
I laughed when Kurt made that comment because I was thinking to myself that I'm totally going to pull out my joystick and show Joe up. Which, wow, that out of context is quite a sentence.
That's for when we start the Jodo Cast out of context Twitter feed. That'll be the very first one. So, Kurt, you've just been sitting here in your chair doing nothing for the past
Been
2
waiting
weeks.
since
Yeah.
episode 144, waiting to
All right.
get back on the podcast.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I've been too busy, really, even to paint. I've been gluing some Shadow Collective. I did some priming today, but yeah, I'm like way behind on all game-related stuff, unfortunately. But hopefully, we'll change soon. Start getting some painting done soon, at least, and maybe do a Legion game with someone special. I don't know, maybe.
Your wife. All right. Now to the Crux of Fate, which I think is a good card, isn't it? I've heard good things about Crux of Fate. Joe, I should have asked you this sooner. How long did your NDA extend for?
I never had one. There was just
I know,
no
it's a joke.
official. Oh, well, it goes no more, even though it never existed.
Great.
In episode 144, when we talked about going to GenCon, I don't think I ever mentioned I was working for Asmodee. Not an employee of Asmodee, an employee of a different company that was also very nice, that like contracts with places like that. Basically, long story short, I was running demos for Legion and X-Wing during Gen Con. And I was not shilling the Jodo cast while I was doing it. I was very neutral.
You didn't like slip any business cards into people's pockets?
I had that inner torment. I'm like, oh, I could tell you go here, but I won't. I'm going to be professional and keep it real.
He only does that
You
at events he
you didn't
runs.
send everyone to legionquickguide.com.
I didn't because it was irrelevant to the teaching games. I got real good at teaching newbies Legion real fast. So I
think it's a tricky thing to do. You know, I found like with Armada, it's like I want to be complete. Like, oh, this rule's important too, but it overwhelms people very quickly. You know, what's the right balance?
I can go through my method if you want, but I did omit setup. We had everything pre-set up, and the minis were even like pre-placed in places where it's like, okay, Vader can reach those guys in one turn, because we typically tried to just do the first round because people were always waiting. And we omitted suppression and courage, which the Learn to Play book does as well. I did mention that it's a thing that makes the game more interesting and more strategic, but we're omitting it for the demo purposes. I also demoed a lot of X-Wing, not as much as Legion, but I did do a lot of X-Wing, and even just playing 2 TIE Fighters versus an X-Wing, I was like, why has it been so long since I played X-Wing? This game is so fun. And so now I've just been building X-Wing lists, and I'm going to probably play some X-Wing this weekend. There were a lot of people who stopped by and asked about Armada, like, why isn't there an Armada demo and this stuff? We were told that Armada is just a hard game to demo. Like, it takes so long. Rounds are so long. Like, I can understand that, but I feel like
it wouldn't be too different from Legion, honestly.
Right, just trim it down. Well, yeah. Even like one, I don't know. It's
that was the official line as to why they did.
Get it. They just never had me do it.
Well, as I said, as soon as you told me that was their excuse, the only time I've played Armada was a demo at GenCon, And that demo made me say, wow, this game is amazing. It's too bad I already have a bunch of other games in my life that I don't play, because the demoist did a great job back in whatever it was, 16, 17, 18, 19, take your pick a year
Yeah.
in there. But
I had a great time running those demos. My voice died pretty early and did not recover until I got home and didn't have to talk to anybody for like a whole day.
Because you did like 3 days of demoing.
Got there at Wednesday, and then there was like an orientation / training, and then it was all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then a good chunk of Sunday. And
Wow.
so open to close was like I think doors opened to people at 10 and closed
correct.
at 6, and then I had like 2 hours worth of breaks in there. And then there were 4 of us, so if no one was on break, we could, rotate out and stuff. But I was happy to. There are a lot of people very excited about X-Wing and Legion. There's a lot of little kids with their dads who were learning stuff, and
Nice.
I didn't do any salesmanship of the Jodo cast, but I did do a lot of salesmanship of other Star Wars games like Imperial Assault and Outer Rim and Spot It. It's like, oh, the guy's like, we really like this X-Wing and we really like this Legion, but I want a game I can play with him where I'm not going to like beat him every time. I'm like, oh, well, Imperial Assault has co-op options and Outer Rim has you could like play together versus the AI and things like that. I did a lot of selling the other Star Wars games there, or that just existed in general.
Nice. Well, they should have given you a raise then. A bonus.
Talk about that after the show.
Like,
But yeah, so I had the privilege of being his chauffeur.
yes.
So that was fun. Turned out that they housed him closer to my place than to downtown.
Yeah.
What? Really?
Yes.
Obviously one of the benefits of taking this gig, and only reason I could go to GenCon is because I was doing this and they paid me and gave me a hotel room. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to go. And yeah, the hotel was like 30-minute drive from the convention center.
Wow.
It was across the street from where I had my wedding.
Oh, really? Oh, it was way
Yes.
out there, huh?
Yep.
I guess they had to keep it affordable for their
Yeah.
business, and the downtown ones probably sell out from people going.
It was probably like the most affordable option that their shuttle buses. They had 2 charter buses that would take everybody to and from the convention center every morning and evening, which was nice. So like you didn't have to worry about like getting an Uber or something, because I think Uber was like $50. But
Yikes. So did you give demos to anyone you recognized or
I thought you were gonna say
knew
hated.
or were famous or that you hated? Were there any people who just sucked to give demos to? They just were awful?
So that was something I was actually when the show ended, I realized I must have everybody must have either just been just delightful at all of Gen Con, or I dodged a bullet, because first of all, I didn't give any demos to anybody I know except Evan. I didn't recognize anybody. I bumped into other people like Jay from the 5th Trooper and Krabik. I bumped into them a couple times and chatted, but nobody who sat down I was like, oh, I know you. They were all, people who hadn't played before, which is good. A couple of them like owned the game already, but hadn't like busted it open yet. And when that happened, I did include the suppression rules. I'm like, well, you've already bought in. I need to make sure you're prepared for the real world. But there wasn't anybody who was like recognizable. Everybody had, a lot of people were like, oh, I played X-Wing 1.0, or I'm interested in Legion. I used to play Imperial Assault or whatever. Or, I play Warhammer and I want to get this. But the thing that
it'd be funny if it was like the things like, you always see like those videos of like Adam Savage goes to Comic-Con in disguise as a stormtrooper, something like that. It's like Luke Eddy shows up at your demo table and he's got on like a big like like the fake glasses with the nose and mustache on it.
Well, I mean,
Like these disguise.
everybody had to wear masks the whole time, so I wouldn't even recognize anybody
That's
if
true.
I couldn't see their name tag. And much to my surprise, everybody was very good about masks at Gen Con. So I remember I watched
Yes.
the celebration live stream. It seemed like, because Star Wars Celebration was masks required, and I think maybe like 50% of people were doing that. And at Gen Con, I feel like it was like 99% of people were good about it.
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely want to give that a shout because they had put out months ago, like, as of right now, we're still going to require masks and vaccines. And they'd been sending out um, questionnaires to everyone on their mailing list about how comfortable you'd be with various levels. And to their credit, they maintained, because they had monthly health and safety newsletters, and they maintained masks within con operated areas, and required vaccination and proof of vaccination. And we were lucky enough to get into the line for Vax Check
Yeah,
at
when it was a little line, and then it got bigger and big. Like every time I saw the line for the people, because they had like I don't know, a number of medical professionals or whatever checking your ID and your vaccine before you got your wristband. And that line it seemed kind of big-ish when we got there, and then next time I saw the line, it was twice as long. Next time I saw it, it was like 3 times as long, and it was like wrapping around the whole convention center. I'm like, I guess we got in early.
Did you have to do
So it
that
was
every
huge.
day or just the
No,
first
just
day?
the
No.
beginning of the day.
Okay.
It was a good like plastic wristband, not a paper
Oh,
one
yeah.
that's going to come off
Okay.
when you wash yourself. It's like, no, we want these people to wash themselves and also not have to get in line every single morning.
Did everyone just get like a generic I'm vaxxed wristband, or did they do something like at
It
this
was a
this
yep.
this work convention I went to in Vegas here last fall? They did a thing where everyone got a wristband, and then you could get like green, yellow, or red. Basically, green was all like, "Come give me a hug," and red was all like, "Stay the away from me.
Oh,
I don't want any human contact."
No, they
That's
were all
interesting.
just
So
yellow wristbands that said Gen Con. There wasn't any like distancing requirements because there was a lot of people. But it all seemed really great on that front,
yeah.
from my
And
perspective.
like Joe was saying, there's having a requirement, and then there's people,
Because
going with it.
they had no way to enforce. They had a way to enforce the vaccine requirement, because you don't get your wristband without getting that check, and then if you don't have your wristband, you don't. It was
You're
like
not going to get your badge if you don't have your wristband.
right.
I feel like that's already kind of weeding out a lot of the people who would be like, "I ain't wearing no mask."
Yeah, absolutely. And I was only too happy for them to do that. That might have added or been a reason why you didn't have too many douche nozzles coming up to you asking like, "Hey,
There
so
we go.
how many women are in this game?"
That brings me back to the thing I wanted to say about how I was like, oh, nobody sat down at my tables and talked about Star Wars in a way that grated me. And I was like, I could have sworn, given, going through however many people a day who are Star Wars fans and gamers, you'd think they'd be saying crap that would just make me go, go away. Like, everybody was like just really nice. I had some good conversations with strangers about, so they're like, oh, who's in this game? I'm like, well, if you've got a favorite character or a favorite ship, they're probably an X-wing. And you're like, and then someone's like, is there any stuff in Legion from like not in the movies and stuff? And I'm like, look right there, and the giant poster of Maul and the guys from the Clone Wars show. everything was very positive. There was one guy who's like, have they added any of the stuff from Legends yet? And I was like, no. And then I just kind of like went on with, he wasn't a demo, or he was just kind of poking his head in, and I was just like, no, and they won't. But it was really good. Everybody was really nice. Everybody wanted to go buy the game or go look at the people playing it in the event hall. There's only one guy who was just kind of like bored and left, which is like a good rate of, like, I had people stop the demo early and be like, I'm gonna go buy it now.
Yeah, you were doing, like, you were going above and beyond what I think they expected of their demo ists. Because I sat at a few other of the Asmodee tables, and not everyone was nearly as enthusiastic at noon on Sunday as you still were. Although you sounded like the Emperor, but no one's going to hold that against you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else relevant to your particular experience. We did get to see Simone.
Yep, got to talk with Simone from Atomic Mass Games. Had a good chit chat about X-Wing with her. That was really nice.
And you met other cool people from the company, didn't you?
Met a really cool woman from Atomic Mass Games named Corn Dog. Really great to. It was. She was basically the one kind of in charge of getting us our materials and stuff, and it was really, really nice. She fun to talk to. Fun person. Good big Star Wars fan. Just overall, great. I had a great experience. I think it was really fun to do, and I don't think I would do it again, because there was basically zero time in my GenCon to do anything like Jodo casty. Like, I knew, I was like, okay, I will abstain from Jodo castiness while I'm on the clock, but like off the clock, it was just like, well, I got my 2-hour breaks, I need to go eat, and then I'm just gonna like speed walk around the convention center to look at stuff, and then after hours it's like, okay, let's eat, and then try and it was so exhausting. It was the most exhausted I've ever been in so long. So there was just no time for me to like do Jodo cast stuff. I wanted to make like a gameplay video with Evan and Christian of stuff, and that just, that's like, I don't have the brain power to set up these cameras and put on a like entertaining thing.
I could definitely understand that. I mean, if you go and you play a day long tournament of like X-Wing or Legion, that's mentally exhausting. And I mean, that's basically what you were doing, only maybe even more so, because you have to explain everything you're doing as you're doing it to the other player.
Same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I had said that Leo and I were dog tired at the end of each day in 2018.
Yeah. So I'd really want to go to Gen Con again, but if I did and I could make it work out, I'd want to go as just a normie, so I could get my camera out and do more Jodocasty things. But it was still great, and there's other. We did get a 40-second video made that's on YouTube. And I did come on with a bunch of stuff that will be turned into future content. Just, we didn't get any really much made there.
But that's also
okay. You got Pictionary.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched my haul video, or if anyone's listening, if they watched it or not. But I did get Star Wars Pictionary Air, which I think was being released at the show, which is Pictionary with like an R2 shaped vibrator that you just wave in the air and it draws on an app. It looks kind of fun.
So it's like you say you can be like, and you're watching the Disney Channel.
Yeah,
like
yes,
that.
exactly.
And then what else did I get? I got I think the more interesting things I got were those role playing games from Indie Press Revolution. So I got Rebel Scum, which seems interesting. I read through the whole thing, and it seems fun-ish.
I think I remember the Kickstarter for it back when
Yeah,
it first came out, and it looked cool.
Yeah, it says, it's called Rebel Scum, an anti-fascist space opera. It's very explicit about what it's trying to be, and it's all about punching space Nazis. And it looked... I feel like maybe the book just wasn't laid out great in the way that, like, I read the whole book and I don't quite understand what a single, like, session of it looks like mechanically.
Apparently punching space Nazis. You said that already. You know what? That sounds like, if that's like the description a game wants to throw at me, they're like, it's you punch space Nazis. I'd be like, all right, well, I'm down with that.
It does seem it's very, very on the nose with stuff, I think, because it's, off-brand Star Wars, obviously not officially licensed. The Empire is called like the Killstar Republic, and so people like the Imperials so the people in the Killstar Republic are called Republicans, and they're the people it's framed very cinematically. Like it encourages the players and the GM to set things like scenes, like, okay, the camera pans to this, and like you don't set a background really for your character. You might know it, but you don't like tell anybody else, because it's like a movie where scene one, we don't know anything about these characters, and that's revealed as we go. And you're all like the main characters. It's like you're playing Star Wars. Like Luke's not gonna like die in the first episode. Like you don't die, you just like fall, and then there's like a little like refresh scene where like the narrative explains how they got out of it, until enough like darkness takes over, or the players call upon the climax, and at that point anybody can die and anything can happen. So seems interesting. I definitely want to try it out on the podcast sometime.
And then the other one you got.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read that one yet, but that one is called I Have the High Ground, which, from what I heard, is basically like the Obi-Wan Anakin duel, but less about like the duel and more like you're dueling, but most of the game is like flashbacks to like your time before you were enemies, and
that's cool.
Lots of like quip battles or something.
A lot of posturing involved, if I remember the book correctly.
Yeah, and it's a 2-player GM-less game. So that sounds interesting and something I want to try too. Because obviously both of these games we could play in like the setting they prescribe, like the off-brand Star Wars. And I think I Have the High Ground is like swords and fantasy type. Even though it's, very clear.
We'll use that rule set for the battle when Volkite inevitably betrays his master.
Yeah, now I want your character in our High Republic RPG to go hard into the dark side, so that we can just end with that. Yeah, I'm excited to try those out, and I think those obviously both would just be very easy to play just in Star Wars using those rule sets, and that would be fun for a one-shot of each of those. I think that I did get some Jedi Knights cards just because they're dumb.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've got your haul video that we can direct people to. We could even put that. Well, I don't know if this episode's gonna go straight up or not, but probably not. But we'll put some links somewhere.
I have sworn
somehow,
at least once.
We'll put some links up. Let's see here. We've got other. I mean, I've got a haul. Obviously, not nearly as much cool stuff as Joe. I did get.
Like you got much cooler stuff, just not Star Warsy stuff.
Oh yes. Well,
you got a book based on the famous film Midnight.
Yes, which we need to do that like as a group watch. We need to watch.
Like a good page. So, are you? Looks like Leo's thinking about the movie Midnight. And I learned about
you
this.
don't know Midnight? Come on.
I learned about this movie at GenCon from Christian. So we all know Christian T. Peterson founded Fantasy Flight Games, later sold it to Asmodee, and now has his own company.
Yeah, they were there.
Ghost Galaxy was there. They had all the Keyforge.
That's right. Christian T. Peterson himself was there too. He's not above working his own booth.
I think I remember Christian, or I think I remember mentioning this movie on Discord, and I was like looking at it.
Christian Sorrell, not Christian T. Peterson.
Christian T. Peterson on our Discord.
Came on Discord.
Yeah, so back in the Fantasy Flight Games days when they had their own Midnight role-playing game, which is now like back again under Edge, he wrote and directed a movie that was set in that universe. And apparently patron Christian watched all of it and said it was not good.
And it ends on a cliffhanger. So we have to write our own conclusion.
We can play
the RPG.
We need to expand we need to expand the MCU.
The Midnight Cinematic Universe.
I feel like that's just a business opportunity. Make a role-playing game that is preluded by a film, but all of the main characters somehow, like, their names and genders are all like vague, so that when it ends on a cliffhanger, you go, okay, now these players, you roll your characters and you are those people, and you continue the story.
Or some kind of multiverse thing. Where it's like,
So what would you have, like an entire cast of like androgynous?
They all have they just all have their hoods over their faces.
Or they're all robots.
They're all robots.
There we go.
So yes, I got that. I got the L5R Adventures in Rokugan 5e D&D 5e conversion. So the 2 books that Edge has printed so far, I got both of them, and I'm very eager to get into those. I have seen a lot of really good chatter about the L5R book as being like one of the best third-party supplements for D&D 5e. So, and Midnight is also D&D 5e, but they're not just like, oh, here's how to play these rules in this world. They inject a lot. They change the system around just enough so that you know how to roll a d20 and you know how to add an ability score to it. But outside of that, pretty different. Very much looking forward to getting into those. Did I get anything Star Warsy? I don't know that I did. Now I'm just trying to think.
You didn't buy me any CCG packs to mail home. I'm hurt.
No, hey, you know what? I still have a short box full of CCG cards, Star Wars CCG cards that I was going to send home with Joe so that he could, get his mitts on some CCG, but he already had more than enough stuff in his luggage. He managed to fit some last minute prizes in there.
No, you should have bought me. You should have bought some of those Jedi Knight cards shipped to me. I would have approved, podcast funds for you to buy those for me.
I
don't know if everyone else would have, but I would have approved it for sure.
I sent you the pictures.
I'm excited to open these things.
There you go.
Yeah, see, like I don't have any of that yellow set.
The Boba
yet.
Fett one, yeah.
Well, this one, the pre-constructed deck for Jedi Knights, in the thing, it just was labeled as like a booster for like, I don't know. I thought it was a booster because it was like cheaper than, a booster sitting next to it. So I'm like, oh, I just get the cheaper one because I don't care. I just need the cards because they're silly. And then it was like a big box of a pre-constructed deck. I'm like, all right, well, that's even better. I didn't even think that was what I was pointing at.
It's cool.
But now I should probably get a second pre-constructed deck so I have enough to play a whole game.
Oh, speaking of everything you need to play the game, maybe as a patron exclusive, we'll have our Christian Sorrell, not T. Peterson, do a live play of The Crow, the collectible card game.
Yeah, did he pick that up from the same place I grabbed these Jedi Knight cards?
Oh yeah,
That was one of that place was very cool because they had like, oh, here's all this old stuff, and to my disappointment, I didn't really see anywhere else on the show floor that was like used
yeah.
things. I was like, okay, maybe I'll find some more cowboy games for my collection, or better yet, some more weird old Star Wars board games. And there was just no. There was that place with all the trading cards. There was a couple places with old like role playing book
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And that was kind of it. Everywhere else was, just like new things showing off their new stuff. Maybe there was like outside of the exhibition hall because I didn't get to do anything outside the exhibition hall.
They did have like an auction. Like if you think of an auction house from WoW, it was kind of like that. They had a whole auction area. I was hoping to find the very last box of Descent Second Edition, but yeah, it was a surprising lack of used product, previously owned product, being hawked this year.
Yeah, because I remember in 2018 there was like a whole row of like just people selling random bits buckets shit.
Yeah, the bits guy. I don't remember seeing them there this year.
Yeah, and like there were, like I said, there was multiples in 2018. I remember there's like, and they were all put in like the same area, so it was like you just walk past like 4 tables of nothing but people selling bits.
Yeah, so I don't know if it might be, well, actually there's more than just the COVID factor this year, and it's worth calling out that the Indiana state legislature is a bunch of assholes who had an emergency session to take away women's rights in the state of Indiana, and GenCon put out a statement. I think Fat Shark Games just did not come. And I know there came a fair amount of not rumor mongering, discussion about whether or not Gen Con would find a way to break its multi-year contract and look elsewhere. And just saying, the grubby ass politicians love money, and guess what? If all the major companies decide to up and leave and you lose all your nice tech contracts, well, guess what, you assholes? We're all gonna leave.
There was the same weekend was C2E2 was happening that weekend also, so
that's a good point.
There could be some vendors that were there.
Yeah, like, well, we got to pick one.
Yeah. Oh, and there were vendors that I had seen at Adepticon that I was hoping to see here, and I did not. Artis Opus was not there. Game Envy, they make little painting accessories that are cheap and useful. They weren't there. There was no the army painter themselves did not have a presence there. Other people were selling army painter stuff, and Warhammer had a decent size presence here, but yeah, I mean, as far as other independent painting companies, there was not a lot. It was a ton of magic buyers.
Was Duncan there with his paint line?
They sponsored. Oh, and that'll be part of my story. They sponsored the painting table, the paint and take, where you show up and you learn how to paint.
Oh yeah, that was your whole thing.
Yeah, and then you get a free miniature, and they were one of the sponsors for that, along with like Reaper and probably Citadel and some other folks that I don't recall. But my thing was the speed painting competition. So it was 45 minutes to paint a miniature. You know what? I'm full of crap. That was the Star Wars stuff that I came home with.
Yeah, you got 3 Star Wars Legion minis?
I at least saw Lando for sure.
Lando, yeah.
Yeah, so for $2 a session, you got a free miniature, and you got to put your skills against other people using not your brushes and not your paints, and a little, paper plate and a plastic cup. So Leo would have been like, big deal. I can do this. Easy. Pop.
That's how real people paint.
Evan was like, I
Obviously.
can't work under these conditions. Where's my brush bidet? And
if I
Wood
thought
palette
about
and vortex mixer.
I thought about looking super douchey by bringing my magnifying glasses. That would have been great. Just like bust them out, turn on the light. It would have been nice, actually. I had really good
Like
natural light behind me,
You
though.
look like you're cleaning Vigo the carpet.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
not
thinking
painting it. I'm just cleaning it.
the toy restorer in Toy Story 2.
Oh, yeah.
Fixes Woody.
But yeah, 3 of the sessions were by Reaper, so I got one of their new line of like Reaper Black. I'm not sure, but they were very good miniatures. Not super soft plastic. They were good quality hard plastic. So those were cool. But then yeah, also Atomic Mass Games in their first year as a sponsor. Just as a sponsor of the speed painting, donated Star Wars miniatures. And I didn't think it was going to be like, here's an Iron Man for everybody. But I figured it was going to be like, oh, there's a Rebel Trooper for everybody, or a Stormtrooper for everybody. No, man, they brought out Lando on the first day, and I was super happy with my Lando.
Were they all pre-assembled?
Yes, they were all put together, and I think they did prime them, but I also just put down. I mean, it's speed painting, so you're gonna get sloppy anyways. But put down a good base / extra prime on there and just blocked in the colors hard. And I thought my Lando was the best out there. I got all the colors exactly right, I thought. Super accurate. But, of course... oh, man.
I learned a lot about how Evan talks about people when they can't hear him. Like when he's driving, or mostly when he's driving, but when he comes and he's like, I painted this mini and they liked the one that had the funny colors better.
Yeah. There's one that made them go, ooh, pretty. Instead of,
like,
oh, look at...
I was like, Kurt would be the one to commiserate with about this, where they're like, oh, they painted that tactical droid like a Ninja Turtle, and that's the one that won. Kurt would be the one who would have your back there. He'd be the Weequay holding Malakili. Too bad.
I guarantee. And then the second one we got was Agent Callus, and someone was like, "Who's this guy?" I'm like, Agent Callus from Rebels. Come on,
you fake fan.
I guarantee I was the only one that painted his dang old mutton chops. Guarantee you. And someone was
Star Wars, bro.
Yeah. But then the third one was Tactical Droid, and I got plain old regular Tactical Droid. Other people got Super Duper Tactical Droid. Ooh. And I pulled an actual, like, that's too much. I had it right where I wanted it, and then I was like, you know what, I should put another, like, super thin layer on here and help the metallics, like, shine through but not be gaudy. And yeah, it was one layer too many. I had my edge highlighting really nice. I had good recess shading in his grill and around the joints. But I flushed that turd down the drain with that one. And I tried to do my Christophsis shiny base job, and it didn't come off. And yeah, the Ninja Turtle was the one that took that one home.
$2 for a mini, even though you're not getting any of the cards or tokens or anything. $2 for a Legion mini is pretty sweet deal.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm very happy with how they turned out. In fact, my Callus, I did his eyes because they were like telling everyone gotta do the eyes. That's part of the model. Ew. So I did it, and I was super happy with it. Like, it's the best eyes I've ever done.
So you just need to work under pressure. Next, you got to set an egg timer for 45 minutes, And
Every day, one mini every day.
Yeah.
That sounds like the worst.
But it was a
I
good
can't believe
time.
they told you to do eyes. Like, I don't do eyes when I'm taking my sweet time with a mini. The only time I paint eyes is when they're like, some kind
Googly.
of
Big
alien with big
sculpted
eyes.
alien
Yeah.
eyes, yeah.
When it would look weird if you didn't do it.
I did. I mean, I didn't have to worry about eyes on the very first Reaper miniature. It was a Tiefling Rogue, and I did yellow eyes. That was it. I just got some yellow in there. Done. And then the second Reaper mini was a Plague Doctor with like the whole mask and goggles. So it was like, okay, those eyes are yellow. Done. But yeah, that was a big chunk of my day. And then wandering around and making sure that Joe had food and water and bathroom. We did have to find the nicest bathroom for Joe at one point. He wasn't going to be satisfied with anything less than a 3.5 star bathroom.
Yep.
I'm imagining that Joe's like mid demo, and you like sneak up and you like hook up this catheter, and then pull it away. Disruption.
It was more like that World of Warcraft episode of South Park when I just go, bathrobe.
Damn, my Joe's a big boy. And I do really want to talk about. Okay, so yeah, that was super fun. I'll be doing a lot more painting focus stuff at every hobby convention that I go to, just because it was cheap. I mean, it was cheap and it was satisfying. There were Warhammer, or not just Warhammer, but there were Citadel painting events. One of them was like $120.
Wow.
But they were teaching how to paint a monster-sized unit. So presumably, like if I had to guess, you'd be taking home $100 monster. Like walk home with a Nagash or I don't know, a Titan of some size.
Giant demon guy or something.
Yeah, like a rat.
Nope. In the descriptions, it said BYOM for the event.
Oh, you just pay $150 and bring your own mini? Yeah, that sounds right. I'll go buy a Nagash and just show up with that. Let's see. I'm just sort of like mentally walking through the con. I do want to talk about.
Did you do the CCG cube?
No, we did not do
what why'd you even go to GenCon then?
To take care of Joe.
Yeah, he was just my valet. He was my Alfred.
Yeah.
And then I had the Batman voice by the end of the convention anyway.
True. Alfred. Some people just want to watch the world burn, so. Master Bruce. I want to talk about the Asmodee area. Calling it a booth seems...
It was a good chunk of real estate.
It was a good chunk of real estate, but it had a very different feel to FFG's past. I mean, you can go back and watch the videos from past years if you never made it to Gen Con, so you can see. Well, and we've taken pictures too, but like the line would wrap around just to go buy the latest thing from their store, and it was elbow to elbow. Like you had to squeeze past someone to get to a demo.
Well, and to be fair, it's not like they didn't have any special release that they were putting out at Gen Con. Like, Atomic Mass didn't do that like Fantasy Flight usually did.
Yeah, actually, we talked about this. Go ahead.
A lot of people came up to ask me just like, oh, are you doing any promos or anything like that? And I'm like, nope, nothing. And there wasn't even a convention exclusive mini for X-Wing or Legion this time, which we were told had something to do with licensing issues. But...
Oh yeah, that's the new excuse for everything that does not make sense in the world.
And I believe it. Basically, anything weird that came up was like, well, it's because licensing with Marvel and Lucasfilm, we have to be careful about doing these things and this stuff. And it was like, okay, I believe you. That makes sense because
I guess.
Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, you don't want to jeopardize your license or do anything weird, and they're
Well,
probably
that's been the thing. Like, supposedly that's a thing with, like Legion. That's like terrain is a thing they've wanted to do for a while. Which supposedly there's some in the French Asmodee store a listing for an
Oh,
Outer
yeah.
Rim terrain pack has showed up on there.
Now, see, I read that as terrain for Outer Rim. That's what I thought it was.
Game
at first.
famously needs
asteroids.
Yes. Well, no, it does actually say Star Wars Legion Outer Rim terrain pack.
I mean, you could
but
tell
at
me-
any rate, that's a thing that they've supposedly wanted to do for a long time. But there's been licensing issues on like the Lucasfilm side of things where it's like so. That's why anything terrain related that they've released in the past so far has also actually been like a game piece, like
Mm-hmm.
the downed ATST and the escape pod and things like that. Supposedly, I mean that's what kind
Makes
of like
sense. That's
the thing that I've heard.
That reminds me of, because I was talking to one of the people from Atomic Mass Games about like how I've in the past bought games from Europe because they don't get sold here because of the whole Hasbro licensing thing. And I was like, well, and in recent years it seems like, oh, maybe this kind of wall that Hasbro's built up is coming down with Disney Villainous, and we've had Outer Rim and Rebellion and these other games. And I don't know about Disney Villainous, but she pointed out that technically Outer Rim is not a board game for legal reasons. It's a tile game. And
Okay.
Star Wars Rebellion is not a board game. It's a miniatures game because the miniatures are the focus of the game. Apparently, in that's the cases with those two.
Monopoly is a miniatures game too.
But yeah, basically, if anything happened and I'm like, why that though? And someone went, well, because of licensing. I go, okay. I don't understand it, but I believe it.
I mean, and if you watch any of this stuff, like those like Toys That Made Us documentaries, or like there's this YouTube channel called Toy Galaxy that does like little short videos about the history of this toy franchise or that toy franchise and stuff like that. Some of the licensing shit with that stuff just gets crazy. So I mean,
like, yeah, I
anytime somebody's all like, yeah, it's probably some licensing thing, I can kind of believe it,
Well,
like
one of the we were talking to them and being like, people keep coming up to take pictures and stuff, even if they don't want to play, they just want to take pictures. And we're like, wouldn't it be better or like nice to have, because look across the aisle, look over there at that company and this company, they've got these glass cases with all of their products in it,
which we used to have.
Fantasy Flight used to have that.
Yeah.
With things. Wouldn't it, like, why not? Can you imagine if every single X-Wing ship or Legion model was in a display case, how attractive that would be to passersby?
Yeah, that gets you interested in the game.
Yeah.
Like, now I want to demo this.
They were like, yes, that would be amazing. And same for Crisis Protocol. But apparently, again, I don't understand, but I believe that their Legion minis and Crisis Protocol minis, once they're like assembled and painted and like property of them in-house, somehow become like property of Marvel and Lucasfilm. And because they had a big she had like a big like case with foam, and like she was the only one allowed to handle the minis like when they weren't on the demo tables and stuff, because they were like some kind of like licensing liability to like have other people handle them. And so it was basically, well, if we wanted to have all of that, we'd need to bring more staff to help basically babysit this plastic and handle it and stuff, and we'd rather leave those people back in Seattle doing the work, making games, rather than babysitting plastic. I'm like, that It makes sense. Well, it doesn't make sense from like I don't understand the legalness of it, but it makes sense to me that you'd rather maybe have a lesser show experience while being able to, keep all your people working and making these games. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I guess so, but I mean,
It still
I was seeing
sucks
so
for
many
us.
photos. Yeah, I was just seeing so many photos of other booths. Like, there's all these pictures of like the CMON. They have all these licensed minis out that are really well painted, and that drives so much interest for these games.
like Marvel
People who-
Zombies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
The
So
Dune
people who
ones are
can't
out
go to
there.
the show are like, "Whoa, this game looks cool." They see that. You need that to promote. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's
it's definitely. Oh yeah, there's the
that guy.
Juggernaut.
Hey, look
from,
at that.
It's the Juggernaut.
Wonder who that's for.
Oh, I got one too.
You got one? Oh, look at that.
Uh-huh.
Starting hand. Hey, we
yeah,
got
it
a
was-
patron.
It was interesting, and I had a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed getting to talk to the people from Atomic Mass Games. And it's all
That would
very
be cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very good conversations about stuff. And it's just, yeah, it's interesting. And basically that kind of turned into our, why is there no seats at this restaurant? Probably licensing.
Yeah. So yeah, very, very interesting setup for the Sundered FFG. There was like one little glass case for the Edge products, and then it said, "Want to play these? Go to room 121." And to their credit, they had a lot more sessions available than when FFG had, like one table per each Star Wars line per day. So they had a lot going. They even had a table for the Twilight Imperium RPG for Genesis going. So that should be coming out pretty soon too. That'll be
Hey,
interesting.
let's talk about the important thing with Fantasy Flight and Gen Con, though. The fact that they announced an actual new Star Wars game.
Oh, I guess you want to wrap this up, huh? Okay. I'm going to save that for the big surprise. All right. Yes, Fantasy Flight was in the house, and they were doing their in-flight shorts live from the event hall, just at a table, talking to people, which is fine, although I would have said that's not the best place to broadcast from, but who am I? I'm just a guy over here.
Oh wait, they were broadcasting those from Gen Con?
They
They were like
sure
right on the
were.
show floor.
I
Like,
had
you
a-
could see people wandering around in the background and stuff like that.
I guess
and-
that's kind of exciting. I had assumed that they were broadcasting from Roseville.
I thought that's what it was going to be too, but no.
'Cause they have such nice sets at their Roseville place.
Yeah.
In fact, I looked at the like the sign hanging down from the ceiling. I was like, oh, that's at this spot. I'll just walk over there. I can maybe sneak in, photobomb them as they're broadcasting, and like flash some branding. But yes, they didn't have a ton of announcements. They talked a little bit about, well, what products do they have now? They got Arkham. They got Marvel Champions. They got Descent.
They announced something called Marvel Dagger?
Yeah.
Some
That was-
board game.
Yeah, some kind of Marvel board game.
If it's a cooperative board game that's not going to be like set up to have 1 million expansions, I'll be a little more interested. If it's a game that's going to have a long shelf life of here's a new expansion every 5 months, then I'm out.
Yeah. But as Leo said, the very, very last 2 minutes of the very, very last in-flight short Sunday at 2:00, they were like, we're going to leave you with this. And they dropped a teaser. It was just a picture of Luke with lightsaber drawn, and then Vader comes up with lightsaber drawn, and they clash lightsabers, and it said Star Wars the deck building game. And I was surprised at least how many people on Twitter asked us what the heck this was going to be like. And I didn't see any other chatter on any other outlets.
Yeah.
We were like leading the way.
I might have
Well,
been the
I've
first to post it. I posted it while I was waiting in line for security at the airport.
well, I've seen it also like
so never mind.
even on other places like I've seen it other places I've seen it posted like on Reddit and things like that. I've seen people asking the same questions, like they don't understand what a deck builder is.
Yeah,
Like
I was
people
surprised.
thought like oh, like the LCG is a deck builder because I got to take these 10 pods and build a deck before I play the
CCG
game.
is a deck builder. I build my deck and then I bring it to the
be
game,
fair,
right? To be fair,
I feel like Fantasy Flight may have described previous living card games they own as deck builders because you construct your deck. I might be wrong. But I feel like
I've never heard that before.
it's a good story though. We'll go with it. That's fine.
Well, I'm with all of you in assuming when they say deck builder, they mean the board game mechanic, like that popularized by boring old game Dominion.
Boring. Oh, come on.
Says a guy who plays Love Letter.
Go play Dune Imperium. Now there's a deck builder.
What?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So there's like the Dune Imperium, Dominion, the Harry Potter game, Star Realms,
and
Legendary.
Legendary.
Legendary was across the hall, the walkway from where Joe was celebrating 10 years of Legendary. I remember when Zach and Christian went to go play the demo, the pre-release demo of Legendary in 2012, and that thing has taken off like crazy. Which I've only played it like twice, maybe. And I was kind of like, all right, I'll play DC Deck Builder. That's also kind of taken off. So, yeah, I was surprised how many times we had to say, no, it's not a CCG. It's not an LCG. There's no dice involved with this one. Don't worry.
I mean, I guess, like, I've played Star Realms a bunch. That game's really fun. But in the gist of Star Wars, a deck builder, there's typically a shared like marketplace between all players. And for this game, especially if their art is, Luke versus Vader, it's presumably going to be Rebels versus Empire or Light Side versus Dark Side, where a shared marketplace between those very different factions feels harder for me to like get my brain around.
Mm-hmm.
But they
unless
don't
like each
need
player
that.
brings their own little like marketplace to the table.
Yeah, but at that point, like
specifically, because there's a lot of games that, if you look at the list of deck building games page on Wikipedia, there's a lot of things that are called a deck builder, but it can be pretty broad if people want to apply the term. So, yeah,
That's
I think
fair.
the marketplace thing seems unlikely, but there's a lot of different ways they could go with it too. I don't know.
And I was really hoping that the next Star Wars card game was going to be cooperative, and they did say that this is a head-to-head PvP game, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah,
but also understandable.
Turned off a lot of people
because I would imagine they don't want to have it compete with Lord of the Rings and Arkham and all their other cooperative card games. But I wish it was.
Yeah, but at the same time, slapping a Star Wars skin on the Arkham mechanics sure sounds like printing money to me.
Yeah,
it does, doesn't it? Crap! I was gonna say. Oh yeah, someone else called out. They are back to their not so creative Star Wars game naming conventions. Star Wars the card game, Star Wars the deck building game. I think the only reason...
What about Star Wars the customizable card game? Or Star Wars the trading card game, which are also two other games that exist.
Yeah. I think the only reason that wasn't called the Destiny didn't get a name like that was because Star Wars the collectible card and dice game just became too cumbersome. So they're like, we got to shorten this up, guys.
Star Wars Jedi Battle of the Force. I don't know. There's like a million names
That would have
done.
been. I mean, that's the LCG right there.
Depends
Balancing
on
the
thing
Force.
if there's not like much of a solid theme, it's harder to come up with a name.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Destiny was just Smash Bros. But so
the main thing is we don't really know any details yet. And surprisingly,
That's
they
true.
didn't announce any more other than basically the name and that key art. So hopefully we'll learn more soon. I'm interested to learn more. We'll see if it actually sounds cool.
I
but I'm interested
actually,
to learn more.
I really hope it's like when they at the one Gen Con when they were like, by the way, Clone Wars is coming to Armada, and then they don't say a word about it for like until the next Gen Con.
I'd hope it's not like that.
Yeah, you might have missed.
Man.
You might have been able to detect a little bit of sarcasm.
If it's not Arkham, Lord of the Rings, or Marvel, the news output from FFG is a little scant.
They did good.
I mean, well,
in the lead up for Unfinished
that's like
Business.
the stuff they're publishing. So that, of course, that's the stuff they're putting out news
they're
for.
not
They're
making
like that.
Marvel
They're
Star
not like
Wars stuff
making
right now.
anything else right now.
Yeah, they are. They're making that box right there. Big box, Descent.
Oh,
It's been made already.
But they last year announced that they were going to have a side story come out before the second act of the 3-act Descent. We didn't hear anything about it. And then at the in-flight short, they said, oh, by the way, we're not going to release the side story until after we release Act 2 box because they had delays, whatever. So they're going to release Act 2, who knows when, and then they're going to release a side product, and then we'll be waiting on whatever else they decide to release after that. So
There you go, news.
yeah, a year later, like you were just saying, I was
Yeah.
agreeing with you.
They seem like they used to be a lot better at like promotion and social media type
Yes,
stuff before
exactly.
the whole acquisition. I assume they maybe cut those departments or something, unfortunately.
or those staff
they did.
members like went to a different place.
They're probably they
Yeah.
probably like centralized a lot of that shit at like within like Asmodee corporate, because I know that stuff seems to happen a lot when companies merge.
Yeah, maybe
like that,
they
you know.
have a social media manager who manages all their accounts. I could have sworn Atomic Mass Games actually put up a job posting in the last few weeks for a social media manager.
Yeah, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you applied.
Like
for
I said,
that,
I mean, I'm just
No,
obviously talking out my
They wouldn't
ass
hire
here
me.
because I don't work at either company, so I don't know. I had a thing I was gonna say, but I don't remember what it is anymore.
probably about the
let's see here.
CCG.
Probably.
Oh no, today's article on FFG is all about Mojo Mania scenario pack for Marvel. There you go. You get Mojo and Spiral and Longshot. What else could you want in this world? I got to play a demo of Twilight Inscription. It's much better than I expected based on that initial teaser trailer they put out. But yeah, it's quite interesting. I still don't know that I fully know what a roll and write is. You just roll some dice and then write things down in your various
It's
placemats.
I don't know if I've actually played one.
I think
It's
that trend is already dying out, but it's like fancy
it's a big
Yahtzee.
thing.
I don't know.
But,
Those games can be fun. I really like Roll Through the Ages. It's a fun game.
I'm waiting for one of my many cowboy Kickstarter games. One called Flip Town is a roll and write.
What we need is like a Star Wars the roll and write game, and you.
There you go.
I don't
You
know.
got it.
The list
You
of
roll a
characters
chance
you roll.
cube, and then you write red or blue down in various
That's it.
boxes.
Jedi went to what planet? Something.
Yeah.
Has some art on it. Good enough.
I'm surprised Joe did not call me out immediately for having played and thoroughly enjoyed.
Oh yeah, guys, hold on.
Get out
Let me
another
take it back.
popper.
Let me take it back. Let me take it back to I think Gen Con 2017, 2016.
2019, wasn't it?
2019.
Yeah,
yep.
2019.
When Atomic Mass Games came out and took over the in-flight report, and Evan got all grumpy about it and had a vendetta on Crisis Protocol ever since then. And then he played the Crisis Protocol demo at Gen Con, and now he realizes that it's actually a really great game. He goes, I played the Crisis Protocol demo. I'm like, what do you think? He's like, it's actually really good. We got him.
You did, ladies and gentlemen.
We got
him. It's the box is sitting right over there, waiting to get cracked.
I have my own box now too, courtesy of Asmodee, because part of our working for them, in addition to a hotel and them paying us, we got to put a little list of. I think it was them, trying to offload as much product as they could before they had to pack up their stuff, which is fine. Because I know some of the other demoers, they went home with like Twilight Imperium boxes. And
Jeez.
I said, okay, the thing I would want most would be a Crisis Protocol core box. And I got one, which is cool.
Yeah. And getting to actually hold the miniatures and see the quality instead of, just renders or bad photos or whatever. It's very good.
I've only played the core box, and I think it's such a cool game, and I'm like, maybe once I assemble mine, I might have to get into it, because there's a local community. And most of the characters that they've released are characters I've never heard of or don't care about. So I'm like, I'll just get like the handful of expansions with characters I like and call it good. Especially like there's all those like Cosmic and X-Men characters I've never heard of. I'm like, pass.
All their pictures of it lately are like weird, like Thanos minions and stuff. And it's like, I've never heard of this. I don't know what any of this are, but they look cool. They're like painted well or whatever.
And Leo's like, what do you mean you don't know them? Everyone knows them.
It's Black Lotus girl.
It's Black Swan.
Black Canary. Get it right. Black Canary is joining this one with Green Arrow.
And then
like Black Swan was the only one who was not in the movies.
There's one with like a
Super Giant,
Crimson Dynamo, and some other person. Like I'd heard of Crimson Dynamo, but then like they're packaged with some other
and Ursa Major,
Angel Claw.
No, Ursa Major comes with the
Red Guardian, Sheriff Hopper.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Best part of the movie.
The two things I just love about
Beetle.
The two things I love about that game is you can never get somebody nuked round one of the game, because like if they take max damage, they like flip over. They cannot be targeted until they stand back up again, and then you flip their card to the other side that has different stats, and then they stand back up at the start of the next round. So like, there couldn't be like an alpha strike thing where round one they just blast your guy and he's out of the game before you can ever play with him. You can still get to play with them. I always hear those things about Warhammer where they're like, oh yeah, I painted this guy and he's dead turn one and never get to play with him. I'm like, well, that sucks.
It's always
the rules. So.
It's always the newest painted model is the first one to die.
And then the other thing, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so Crimson Dynamo comes with Dark Star. I'll forgive you for never have heard of her.
And then after that, the next pack is Alpha Strike and Black Cat and Brown Slipper and Red Guitar.
No, it's Red Tomato.
Okay. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, the other thing I just really like is that you have abilities that you have to spend power to use. So there are, things that you won't be able to use right away, but your power charges up over the game. But anytime you take damage, you get that many power. So if your dude gets dumped on, all of a sudden he's ready to hit back really hard. It's very, cinematic and comic booky, and it also just makes it more fun. Like, oh, you just dumped on my guy, now he gets to hit you back really hard. I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
like wrestling. You charge up your finishing move.
Yeah.
You can pin
those
them.
are those
Exactly.
are just the two mechanics that I find very appealing in that game.
And
Also, it's just nice to have so few minis on the table.
yeah,
It's like, oh, it's a very
and
different vibe.
they make it. It seems like they intentionally made movement a bit more free flowy. Like they're not gonna penalize you. Like they found ways to make everything easier to do. It's like I want to go up that building. Well, good thing I'm a wall crawler because I can just go view. I'm up. I'm done. There I am.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's very cool. Doc Ock went up a building, this different side as Spider-Man, and then Doc Ock was fighting Spider-Man on top of a building. It's like you just did it. It's not that you don't gotta like roll to do it. It's just done. So it's very cool. So yes,
Yeah,
I
you
like it.
reminded me how annoying climbing in Legion is.
Oh yeah, it's like don't even
Yeah,
bother.
that's one thing I've always complained about is like there's always these tables that are really cool and vertical, or especially like when I set up shit for tournaments, I try and set up tables with cool vertical stuff in them, and then I just feel really sad because I watch everybody never go up on top of the platforms or anything,
unless you have
and
a guy
I'm
with
just like,
jump. That's about it.
yeah, it's sad because it's really cool.
I like putting the make a really tall platform in the middle of the table, so some objectives might have to have a thing there that forces people to climb up. I've had a couple games where it's like that and everybody just dies trying to climb up to the like little box on top.
I had one where the guy brought Boba Fett. He just went yeet.
Yeet.
It's mine now. Yep.
And then he just flies off with the box
Yo.
while you chase him, just like in the movie. Just like in Book of Boba Fett, how he took that book and flew off with it.
He goes,
That's
"This
my
is my book. This is the Book of Boba Fett now."
Like, oh wait, chapter 3, it's the book of Mandalorian. Man, looking at how much time we've already been talking, we could easily just keep finding more things to talk about. We should probably try to wrap it up. I would like us to go ahead.
Well, like, what were your big takeaways? What was like the best moments at GenCon?
Go first.
I liked
The food?
everybody's enthusiasm for Legion that I taught it to, and I liked giving them that joy and going, they're going to go buy it, and the more they buy it, the healthier it is for my hobby, and this game will stay around. It's very selfish thing, getting them to go buy this game, and getting Evan and Christian to play Outer Rim for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
We did manage to play Outer Rim. I just didn't have the energy to record it.
We played it twice.
Yeah,
Well, if you
Evan
didn't
and I
record
did
it, then it didn't happen.
Oh,
you know
but
what?
I won.
That's you say that as a joke, but sometimes it feels that way when I play a Star Wars board game and I'm not recording. I'm like, what's the point?
I wanted Joe to play Rune Wars, but that did not happen.
Oh,
I still do want to try that just because the initiative system sounds really interesting in that game. That too, as you've described it.
Our 2-player game of Outer Rim was like the most like cinematic thing because he was playing as Han and I was playing as Lando, and we kept trying to like one up each other, and then we happened to pull into 2 different jobs that required players to work together, which I hadn't actually run into yet since getting the expansion, and we were both next to each other each time it happened, and so we did like 2 co-op jobs back to back where it kept ending with, okay, let me test the skill that I'm really good at. Oh, I failed. And then the other guy tests the skill he is not good at and he passes. And it felt very like Han Lando, like Lando being like, oh yeah, I've got this. It's this thing I do. And he fails. And then Han's like, let me do it. Yeah, I suck at it. And then he gets it. And then vice versa in the next time. And it was very fun.
That was
awesome.
So good. It was so good. Best. I mean, that
and then Lando died at the end. Because it did come down to one turn. Evan
Yeah.
was going for Renowned Smuggler, where at the very end you have to run cargo from one of the ends of the board to the middle while all of the patrols hate you. And then I had to fight a Star Destroyer to be a hero of the rebellion. And I failed, and then the next turn he won. So I was like, okay, so Lando dies taking a Star Destroyer head on as Han just, dunks some cargo and lives happily ever after.
On Kessel. I was gonna say the getting to have fun time with friends at the con during and in the evening, and having pizza, playing games, getting beers and hanging out.
Petting kitties. I got to meet Evan's cats, and they liked me.
Yeah, they do. You're making Ellington a celebrity.
Yeah. When I was there, I was always disappointed because Mandy always made me make sure that we shut the door to the bedroom, so I couldn't let the cats into the bedroom with us.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I wanted to lay on the bed and snuggle with them, and they clearly wanted to do it too.
Oh my gosh, they would have. Ellington would have been in your beard. He would have been just up in there. But yeah, just getting that social gaming, socializing around gaming was fantastic.
And neither of you got COVID by the sounds of it, right?
Nope.
We did not.
Felt
Nice.
kind of crappy when I got home, but I took the old testaroonie and came up not pregnant.
Well, it sounds like a really good event. I still haven't been. I would love to go someday. Maybe it'll move to like Minneapolis or something, and then then I'll go. We'll see.
It was astoundingly massive. Just the event hall. I'm like, this is huge. And not the event hall, the exhibit hall where I was hanging out. I'm like, this is huge. And then you go, oh, actually, this isn't even the biggest space here. And the event hall is even bigger.
More.
And then there's all these other, Funko and Czech Games Edition and Pandasaurus. They'll have like their own little side rooms that are their own little experiences. And Pathfinder and Kill Team
Pathfinder room.
This is massive.
And you didn't even, because you didn't have any time to do an exploring or look at any other things, there would have been seminars off in the connected hotels.
Next year, we'll have a Clumsy and Random live play in one of the side rooms. Those rooms are probably cheap and easy to reserve, I assume.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, we can offset that cost by the admission price. So if it's like $5,000 to get a room for an hour, each ticket's like $500. Easy to come in. Easy.
There you go. All right. Yes, we could.
Genius.
We could go on for a while. We might in the future, but for tonight, we're gonna end it. Man, I feel like we could just keep on going. Damn it! Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Joe, especially for making the trip out here and working as hard as you did the whole time, because you really did work hard. We were both dog tired, but you had no voice and you soldiered on. So, and of course, thanks to all the patrons for joining us. Thanks for the patrons for helping to pay for some of our quirkier purchases. Maybe we'll make some Jedi Knights cards a bigger project, a more focused show.
Leo, can we have a collection? So in the past, you've done alt art JodoCast for the CCG. I think JodoCast needs an alt art for every card game that's ever existed.
A 3D render. It's got to be a 3D render.
No, you know what? We're not going to even pay some. I'm just going to download Blender and whip one up, and
it'll look about
probably it's going to look as good as any of the shit in Jedi Knights.
Well, yeah, for Jedi Knights, you got to do that. For every other card game, you can keep using that same art you've used for the other one.
And Joe, you have to share the stereoscopic Jedi Knights cards when you have a chance.
If
What-
I gotta
Whatever that
build a
happens
little,
to be.
I feel like I won't. The back of this pre-constructed box says collect amazing 3D stereoscopic images, where like you can see here if you're watching, which means you're one of my co-hosts or a patron. But it's got the
It's like a double card.
yeah, there's two cards where the image is offset slightly, so when you put it in the little like 3D viewfinder box, it makes a 3D image.
3D do-back. Awesome.
But so even if I had those two cards, which presumably are in that box, and then I did take the time to construct that little cardboard viewfinder, how am I going to present that to the audience? I can't.
Just
Almost like
make
a
a video of you looking through the viewfinder, looking like
And
a
I go,
dipshit.
huh?
And then you edited one of those clips of me go with a popper.
It looks so realistic.
It's like
Great.
I'm really in Star Wars.
What if there was a whole card game where
You know,
every card
those-
was like that? That's how you have
those-
to play it. Is with the vision on.
I used to think that
Now you're
those
saying.
stereoscopic things actually were cool. Like when I was a kid, my grandma had like a box full of stereoscopic cards and like an old wooden viewfinder. It's
The
like
old Nickelodeon.
yeah, it's like so you could it was like you'd put the goggles up to your face and then there was like a long stick and you'd put the card on the
Yeah,
end and
you
you
had to,
could
like,
slide
crank
it. And no, you didn't crank anything. You just looked at the picture.
It's like
Oh,
the
it looks
1930s
3D.
version of the the little red thing with the
Yeah.
disc
Yeah.
that you click.
Exactly.
That's called a Viewmaster. Duh.
That's the name of the episode. All right. Thank you all again. Have a great night, and we will talk with all of you next time.